Hello, and thank you for joining us for 10 Days of Gratitude. I'm your host, Mia Saenz, and in this segment is Patricia Coring. Welcome, Patricia.
Thank you, Mia. I'm delighted to be with you.
It's lovely to have you here, and you are in Italy.
I am.
How exciting is that? An American in Italy. I love it. Will you share with us your story on how you got to where you are today?
Well, I'm not sure where I am today, but if you're talking about, I would imagine my spiritual path.
Yeah, and you're an author of a buku abundance of books.
I am.
Yeah.
I have been on a spiritual journey since my childhood, where I was nurtured by a mother who really let me be the clairvoyant that I am, and nurtured that, thank goodness, because so many parents kill that in children when so many of us have this gift. So I started early. I started exploring the other dimensions and other realms as a child and all through my life. And then became a healer very early on in San Francisco. I was in the explosion of the New Age mindset and crystals and everything I could get my hands on. And in 1996, I went into my first crop circle and had an out-of-body journey, which brought me to becoming a channel for the material that you've mentioned. And that's, oh my gosh, 13 books now. So it is a lot. A wonderful journey and a lot of help and guidance and a lot of bliss and celebration. And I'm deeply honored to be able to do what I do.
That's awesome. And so share with us, besides being an author, some of the other stuff you have, and share with us your books, because they're really, really incredible. They're rich and I just love I haven't been able to read all of them, but I love what I have read on the synopsis of them. They're very in-depth, rich, inspirational. At least I resonate with them. So I'm sure people in the tribe here who watch these shows will also resonate with how amazing they are.
Thank you. Well, the early books, which I started channeling actually in 1996 after my visit to the crop circles. The first book is called The Cosmos of Soul, A Wake-Up Call for Humanity. And the exciting thing is that this book was really a little bit ahead of its time. It was one of the early, let's say, books that came out that was starting to give galactic messages to humankind. And really out there stuff at the time, and still pretty avant-garde. And they bring forward not only messages for the future of life on this planet and the evolution of planetary development, even the entire solar system, but are very specific about what's going on the planet Earth and how things will be evolving. So they've been pretty spot on up until now, and people are still finding in them incredible truth that they resonate with personally, which is what really makes something very important to my heart, is when people say, I read the book and I found my own truth there. I couldn't believe somebody was able to put it into words. So that touches me deeply. And there are other works in the body of 13 works. There are several things that I'm passionate about. And my last two books are very much dedicated to the whales and dolphins and their galactic role on the planet. And that's a huge, huge thing that I'm involved with right now, is working on the oceans and doing my best as a communicator for the whales and dolphins to assist them in their mission on this planet.
And you also feel what they're calling out to you. You had an amazing, I got to interview you on my radio show, the Passion Muse show, several months back, and you were sharing how an experience that you could feel dolphins and whales literally yelling out to you, save us, help us. And you saw your husband came in like an hour later or something, and I'm telling your story, and he had said, "Oh my goodness, honey, these dolphins and whales have beached themselves," and that was so impactful, not just to you, but for people reading The Emissary, your last book, and for me hearing you share it on the radio was just amazing. Can you talk a little bit about that, because it really is brilliant?
Well, the book before The Emissary is called Before We Leave You, Messages from the Great Whales and Dolphins. And it came about because I started hearing them, in fact, call out. I was teaching a workshop in Jordan, and in the middle of the workshop, I got a vision of whales and dolphins thrashing around in the middle of the ocean and in despair and in difficulty. And then I was catapulted into that scene psychically, and I felt that I was drowning too. And I kept hearing them, please help us before we leave you. And that's why the book has that title. And for months after, I would, and then when I got back to my hotel room that day, lo and behold, on the news, do I hear that in New Zealand, 150 whales and dolphins have beached. And the timing is exactly when I was seeing it during the day when I was teaching. And this kept happening to me month after month. There would be these moments where I'd be there again, and then bam, it would be in the news. In fact, the thing that you're referring to, actually, I was dreaming that they were calling out and crying in my dream. And I woke up in a frenzy. And in that moment, my husband called and said, have you heard the news? And I thought, oh no, it's not the whales. Mm. Yes, they've beached again. Yeah, I thought you better hear it from me. Mm-hmm. And finally, I actually just said, please, I can't help you if it's despair. You've got to help me understand what you need. If I'm going to be your channel, if I'm going to be a communicator for you, please give me more to work with than this despair. I can't do it.
Right.
And so the messages started to come. And that book is difficult. Some people say it's very painful to read it. But usually it's at the beginning. This is the problem. We are in a desperate situation here, and the human race needs to wake up. Mm-hmm. And then as you go through the book, it goes higher and higher and talks about the music of the oceans and the galactic purpose of the whales and dolphins. Mm-hmm. And I love being able to do that, present the problem, and then take people to the higher purpose of it and to help us understand what we can do about it. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm trying to do out here.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And I just realized I was feeling so much gratitude for the work that you do and this ability that you have. I forgot to ask you what you're grateful for, because I'm so excited to interview you again.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. I'm grateful for every day. I am in love with life, in love with this planet. I am a great animal communicator and just a worshiper of Gaia and the beauty that is this earth. And I travel. I'm in a position to travel all around the world, although I've had to slow down lately for a few reasons, to see all the wonder and beauty. And so I'm grateful for every day. I'm grateful for being alive. And I'm also very grateful in the knowing that I'm an eternal being, an immortal being. I've had the occasion to have a near-death experience. So I know that this is just a beautiful place I'm passing through. We have to be careful about always bemoaning the situation on the planet and never forget how beautiful this earth really is.
Mm-hmm. Right, absolutely. I think some would say your experience with the dolphin and whales when they beach themselves, and you would be able to feel that they're gasping for air and you gasping, that's almost going into a different type of a near-death experience, because you're going through that process as they are, and that's very, very powerful. Not very many people on our planet are able to experience that, and I have heard a lot about that lately. And not that it's happened lately; it's happened, but people are now speaking up about that it happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So it's also an amazing experience that. I'm grateful that you were able to have, because not very many people have had them. Some of us have had near-death experiences, and those are obviously incredibly impactful. But the way in which you felt also the last breaths of these beautiful creatures is a miracle in itself, that you were able to experience that. Not that it's a good, a bad. There's nothing attached to it except for wow. This happened to you, and that you were able to be, in the moment of that.
Well, I think that in order to serve them, being allowed to understand those emotions and the suffering is part of the job. You can't really help if it's rhetoric or if you're theorizing on what another soul is experiencing when you can experience it too, and then bring that into your journey and as a healer or as a voice, be able to help transmute that and help other people understand it. So sometimes the job of being a psychic empath means you've got to be able to feel pain. And I'm glad this came up, because a lot of people say, I really don't want to ever feel that. I just want to stay in the higher energy and be in bliss. And that's also a way to approach life. Mine is, let me feel it all. If it's pain, I can do it. And but my intention is, if I do have to feel pain, to bring it up to the higher and understand what it's all about. And that's why I've been serving as a healer all my life, really, and hope I always will.
Mm-hmm. Well, you have the spirit for it, and you are, and always will be. I think that even when I watched my grandmother, who was a spiritual practitioner, I'm a third generation, when she was passing, it was amazing because she said to me, I've almost forgotten all I've done. I don't know why I'm sharing this right now, but just the fact that the richness of, I reminded her of what she did. So during her passing, she again was able to work for herself and be back to the state in which she had been before. A very strong woman, even if it was the last 3 hours of her life. It was very remarkable to see and to experience. So no matter what gifts we have when we're younger, we still carry them when we're older, even if our mind begins to play tricks on us and has us forget. It's still, the truth is the truth, and we are who we are. So.
Absolutely. And that moment of reckoning when you're passing through, and I imagine flashing, what was the point? What was my life about? As you're leaving this tunnel of illusion and preparing to blossom in the light of that infinite existence, it must be really something incredible to have someone like you right there helping in that transition. So celebrate that.
Thank you. Yes, it's awesome. Can you share with us, you've done some brilliant things. You created a fundraiser for this project that you have going with the whales and the dolphins in London. It was a symphony or something, an orchestra, correct?
Well, it was one of the zanier things I've done from the point of view that I tend to leap and think later. And so I decided to do for the organization that I co-founded with a woman named Nikki Barber, Kilmer Barber. It's called Save Earth's Oceans, Inc. And we needed to get off the ground. So I said, well, let's do a concert for the whales and dolphins called Singing the Oceans Alive, so that we can put the message out to humankind that our intention is to bring the wisdom, trying not to be woo-woo, so that we could reach a big body of people, because a lot of people are not comfortable with the idea of the galactic message of the whales and dolphins. So I said, let's do something where we're just people celebrating the music that they make. So it was called Singing the Oceans Alive, and I decided, well, okay, I'm going to hire the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. And so
Bravo!
my mom always said, if you're going to go, baby, go big. Start at the top. You can always work your way down. So I convinced the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. They just were like, who are you? Have you ever put on a concert? And got some incredible talent. And we did this fundraising concert in London, which was a huge success from the point of view of the concert itself. It wasn't terribly successful in fundraising because it cost so much to put it on. Mm-hmm. But it was remarkable, and that energy, I think, will never dissipate. There was so much love there. It was just remarkable. It was a great, 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 great evening.
It's wonderful. It's amazing. You're a queen, and I just love that. Go big, baby.
That's really what I do. Start, and this is a very important message for people. Think big, dream big. Don't let anything dissuade you, stop you, make you get on your knees into the fear and say I guess dream big. And like my mom said, you can always work your way down, but start big. And that's how I live my life.
And I love that. That's so important to be able to dream big and to accomplish our goals big. I love that. That's probably one of the most this sounds selfish, one of the most amazing stories I've heard besides my own. And at least I love my story, So that's all. I just adore you. You're amazing. You have Thank you. You have a great event coming up is it February or March?
In February.
Would you share that with us?
Yes, well, I do sacred journeys all over the world, and I took a little time off because of the things that were going on around the planet and my own personal life. And it's been, 2 years now since I've been in Egypt, and I'm going back a la grande with another sacred journey to Egypt. It's Return to Egypt, where pharaohs dwell. And it is February 4th to 15th. It's a luxury, incredible journey. I have private access, and when I say private access, I mean authorized, paid the government private access at 4 different sites there, so that we can do our ceremonies alone. So try to imagine walking into the Karnak Temple, for those who've been there, alone at 4 a.m, just us. It's a remarkable journey, and it's people are registering now. So if anyone wants to go to Egypt, this is one of those sacred journeys that will change your life. Truly change.
Absolutely. Wow. I can just see it and feel it, and it's just it's.
The thing is, I call it Egypt by night, because I open up these temples at 4 a.m. So when the tourists are sleeping, we walk into these ancient, timeless temples alone and experience them the way that they should be experienced. It's so great. So I'm really looking forward to that. And
your information will be in the credits, but that's on your website, right? So your website's on the credits, so people can find it on your website. Is that correct?
That's right. They need to, when they go on the website, they just click on Sacred Journeys, and they'll be able to read all about it, or they can contact me directly. You'll be putting that up too, I think, right?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
I'm happy. I always respond to people who write, so.
Awesome. That's wonderful. And will you share with us your free gift, because it's really cool?
Well, I started a series of books called Little Books About Big Ideas. And it was a brainstorm I had one night, which was, let me just do some really inexpensive flow of consciousness productions that are not a whole book, but maybe 30, 40 pages of things that I want to talk about. So the first one is called Heaven is Here Beneath a Tree. And all of these books are selling, well, all of them. This is the only one, the first and only one so far. They're selling on Amazon as Kindle books and ebooks, but I'm delighted to offer people this as a gift for your wonderful event here. And the concept of this book is just a stream of consciousness. It's some of my photographs, it's some of my artwork, and a collection of poems that I've written that are spiritually, let's say,
that's awesome.
Motivated. So I'll be doing more of those. The next one that I'm doing is about the afterlife.
Wow, very cool. So if you want a taste of Patricia, you can download this and check it out. And I totally recommend you to look her up on Amazon and also besides her website. But look at her books, because they're brilliant. You'll see the titles, you'll see the synopsis, and you'll absolutely fall in love with them. At some point, it is my goal, and I don't say this to anybody, I haven't yet, is to read all of her books. I'm a very busy person too, but I really, really want to read all of them. So they've touched me that much. So it's wonderful. Do you have an exercise or a tool that you use that you could share with people on bringing in gratitude for them?
Well, like a mantra.
Do you what, honey?
Like a mantra?
Yeah, sure. That's perfect.
And, I'm kind of caught with my pants down, as they say. What I do every day is because I live in the country, and I have dogs, and I have a beautiful forest in the backyard. And every day I take something, asking permission, whether it's a leaf or right now I've got chestnuts dropping from the trees. And I take them in my hand and I look at the sacred geometry in them, the divinity in every living thing, and remind myself how incredibly perfect everything is when we pay attention. Example, the garden guy comes and we do battle all the time because he wants to rake up the leaves in the backyard. And I say, no, don't touch those leaves. And he goes, but Patricia, I'm a gardener. That's what we do. And I said, no, because they turn into mulch. And mulch turns into food. And food nourishes the trees. And when you take away that, it's harder on the trees. It's all divine order. It's all going to break down just exactly as it should. Meanwhile, of course, my yard is overgrown. I admit it. But taking the time to look at the splendor in the grass and that leaf, that bird call, everything that nature is a messenger of divinity. And I know the birds. I know different birds. I hear their calls all day long, all night long. I have owls here. And so when I hear them singing, I sing back. And I'm actively a participant in the nature that surrounds me. And that's it's not exactly a mantra, but it's what I do to marvel, because I do marvel at life. And it starts with recognizing those smallest things. And if you live in a cement jungle, you're going to have to go find it somewhere. It's there.
This is what I love. I do that. And when you were saying there's something that you brought into my consciousness now that I don't do, that I'm going to. And every morning I do get up and I go for a beautiful walk to look at the trees. I live in the city. I live in Los Angeles. But we can find our nature in our neighborhoods. So you stare at the grass instead of the house or the cement. That's what you're supposed to do. You look at the trees, you look at the leaves. But what I want to do, what you brought up, and it's beautiful, is ask permission to take the leaf or the flower instead of just taking it. And I've never really thought about the sacred geometry of what the leaf looks like. I see the vibration of the energy coming off the leaves on the trees. But I love the fact that to embrace, there's one house that has tons of pine needles that have fallen on their ground, and just they're everywhere. And sometimes I go by and I think, if that was my place, and I don't mean to be judging, but it's like, if that was my place, maybe I would take them out of that plant right there. As I'm walking past, now I'm going to love them even more because they are there doing what they're supposed to do. That is nature. And how amazing that I actually have a piece of nature that's not touched by gardeners that are out every single morning. Embrace that, and I'm going to love that. So thank you.
And even, for example, the other day there was a bee in the house, and my husband was swatting at it, and we have this argument all the time. I go, just let it be, no pun intended.
Yeah.
And I said, and he stops, and I say, please go back out. It's really not where you don't more than want to be in here. Please go back out and just commune with the bee. And sure enough, every time I open the door and I say, you really don't need to be here. You don't want to be here. You're just stuck, and it goes out. And if we just be just a little bit more aware of these small things, it enriches our life so much. So much.
That's awesome. That really is awesome. Thank you so much, Patricia. You are still and always my kind of girl. I just adore you, and I'm very grateful for our connection and for you coming on this show and sharing stuff. And thank you very much. It was wonderful.
Me too, Mia. You are that same for me, and thank you for what you're doing. It's wonderful.
Thank you. And it was wonderful to be able to share Patricia with you all. And we'll see you in the next segment. Bye.
Bye-bye.